opportunity to even be with another male, even find out this whole thing that's going on with sexuality, because it's very confusing times. So you have that type of thing that's going on, and I have to put that out there, that some of these sisters, they're not even gay. They have been caught up in a certain thing, and not only that, they've been caught up in a certain thing that is happening based on some type of psychological breakdown, a broken heart, or something that's traumatic when it comes to a male. And this other female is dealing with this, and they go to this other female as a form of therapy. This is very interesting here. You got to look at these things. I talked to her, like one sister said, look, she said that I had a lot of problems with my mother. My mother brutalized me or whatever and certain things. And she said, if I didn't, and she said I had this incident where this woman preyed on me, and I went through with it. She said, but if I didn't get with this person, I would have ended up hating women. Or some women say, if I didn't do this, I would ended up hating men. So some of these things happen in the female situation. You see, the female situation is a lot more complex. You see what I'm saying? And in the male perspective, we have to look at these things and try to treat it with a little more delicacy, for the simple fact I'm a man that's trying to give a perspective on a female, and come to find out there's a whole nother dimension in the way she thinks, and I don't want to. And so you have to go and you have to take this case study and find out what is behind the minds of some of the sisters. And they say it was a form of therapy, and this experimentation was the only therapy that I had at this particular time. Now, sometimes the butch woman preys on that and stuff like that. So that's just one particular area what's going on, and why it's real prevalent in the black community, mainly for one thing. Number one, you got brothers locked up in prison in the masses. You got gay guys. You got people that's not even compatible. You got all types of things that's going on. There are all types of things that's going on that's response to why these particular things, why they end up this way. And it's just some amazing thing. So I say that in saying that it's a lot more complex when it comes to the female aspect of what's going on in this particular aspect of why this is actually happening at this particular time. Because we know traditionally they like males. They traditionally, especially the black woman. And so what we're talking about here is the different pathologies that actually goes on in our society after years and years of being in the hells of North America and being subjects of civilizations that's not necessarily carved out to be our own. And these are some things that's actually going on when it comes to a lot of these particular women. These women are in refuge, and as a result of being in refuge from some particular traumatic situation, and sometimes even being a traumatic situation when it comes to men, they are preyed upon in certain relationships, and they deal with those particular relationships like that and all. But then again, you also have the classic lesbian thing where they just don't like they don't like males. But there's two sides to this particular story. You know, somebody gonna say, well, why is it's gonna be treated for care with a woman and not a man when it comes to him, and him being the down low male? I still say, to me personally, he's in a masculine society, it's still shrouded in secrecy, especially when it comes to black males. You know, which leads us to the next aspect of this, and that's Hollywood. And that's Hollywood. To give you an example, they were saying certain things as, well, I'll give you the classic white example on what happened. I did a lecture in Milwaukee, and there's a brother, he has a black conscious cable show, and his name is Frank James, and he has a cable show called Being Frank with Frank James, and he come on and he just talk all the shit about black people moving all out in the white community and stuff, and white people call in like, man, brother, you right, you know, how y'all gonna ever build anything for yourself if all your best of your people living out with us? So he comes on and he said, so he was telling me this story about after he got out of college, he went out to Hollywood. And this was in the early 90s. He went out to Hollywood to pursue an acting career. And they say when he got out there, you know, he was about 6'2". And when he got out there, obviously he had the build, the image that people wanted. So he said he got in commercials, he got in extras in the movies, he even got some speaking parts. And they said that's not heard of when you got people out there that's be out there for years trying to get commercials, speaking parts. He said he was out there in a matter of weeks, he was pulling down all this stuff. Then he said he got certain movie roles offered to him. Unbelievable of a person who's going out there and in 2 months he's doing commercials, speaking parts, plays, cameo appearances in plays, and then the movie roles get somebody want him to do something in a matter of a month. And he said he called home and said, man, this thing is easier than what I thought. I don't understand why people are tripping. And then he said right after that he got the call. And the call was like, a such and such producer want to see you. And then he went to this producer, and it was an old white Jew man wanting this guy to fuck him. Wanting this guy Frank to fuck him. And he said, well, he said he walked out, got on a plane, and went back to Milwaukee. And never and you know, walked out and never went back. So he was saying, I know how the game is.
And I can believe that. What was the first movie that Will Smith came out with?
Yeah, the first one he came out with was the Whoopi Goldberg movie, but the one right after that was 6 Degrees of Separation, which they say he sought after the role. Now this is one of the keys. But we can go even further than that. Come to find out, one of the biggest gay motherfuckers in Hollywood is Quincy Jones. And Quincy Jones don't play this. You got to fuck him to get where you're going.
And Tupac called his card before he passed on, before he died. You know that, right? And Tupac had a big fallout.
Right.
You know, well, Quincy was like, yo, brother, don't come at me like this. Don't do this to me like this.
Right.
Tupac was liking his daughter.
Right, yep.
So him and Tupac had a fallout because of that. Tupac exposed them.
Yeah, well, see, Quincy Jones, you got to Quincy Jones, you got to screw him. And so the Fresh Prince thing came out, and then about 3 years later, LL Cool J comes out with his show on NBC. Same Quincy Jones production. Now you look at these two people. They blowing up. They got movies like crazy. Now, you got major female actresses like Angela Bassett and all these good actresses out here. They can't get no roles. But yet, this year alone, Queen Latifah is blowing up. Now, isn't it interesting now that she's blowing up off the hook? She did that little thing with Steve Martin acting like a buffoon.
Oh, yeah, man. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it, but I heard it. Of the woman, the black feminist perspective. I saw enough of it. I had a bad copy of it, and I saw enough of it on the thing and all to know that I didn't want to see no more. And then she was in Chicago, which won all Academy Awards. The movie Chicago, which was the play, which they had other actresses that played in the play, Jasmine Guy and a couple other people. When they got ready to cast the movie, they get Queen Latifah. But Queen Latifah will fuck anything because she's lesbian. And I'm not saying that she was right on. Well, she did the movie Set It Off, but right after Set It Off, she was on Saturday Night Live in a bar in the movie, on the TV show Saturday Night Live, and she got up and tongued this other black girl down on the TV show. So now all of a sudden she blowing up. Which asked this question in because they celebrated two people on the Essence Award. They celebrated Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah got an ounce of talent. She sounds like the same rapper in every damn role she does, even if it's a 1930 period piece, compared to Angela Bassett. And she's blowing up, so the Essence Award both celebrated her and Mary J. Blige. And you know the whole thing with Mary J. Blige. You see, so I'm trying to say here this again, this thing here goes beyond that. The Hollywood thing. Now, and just about everybody, I mean, Wesley Snipes had to go do the gay movie. To Wong Fu.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Had to go do the gay movie.
Yeah, he was dressed up like a girl, man.
Chris Tucker.
The whole movie.
Yep, Chris Tucker had to wear the dress in Fifth Element, his second movie. Had to wear the dress in Fifth Element. What's the name? Put on a dress. He finally made it to the dress in Wild Wild West. Will Smith.
Yes. But 300, that's the name of that movie? 300?
Yeah, I mean, he did the gay thing, 300 degrees of separation. But see,
I didn't see that movie.
But that was a true story about a guy. So he could say, well, it was just a theatrical true story. Although he sought out the role.
Right.
But he put on the dress in Wild Wild West.
I heard a white boy was on top of him.
Yeah. Ving Rhames put on.
I didn't see that movie.
Yeah, oh, he's in the movie, and the white boy's on top of him, and he's and the white boys, and the woman go around, and the white boy's pumping Will Smith, and he hollering like a bitch. Ving Rhames, Ving Rhames came to stardom. He's been in movies, about 2 or 3 movies, but his stardom came with Pulp Fiction when he got fucked in the ass in Pulp Fiction. Then he later on did another movie recently with Alfred Woodard where he's a big time drag queen. You see what I'm saying? Now let's go on. Denzel is our man, but remember now, Denzel had to get shot in the ass to get the Academy Award for Training Day. People don't know they shot him in his ass in Training Day. In the movie Training Day, he got shot in his ass.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Ain't no other white major Hollywood star ever got shot in their ass. So he out of the loop on the homosexual thing, but he got shot in his ass to do that. Now it's interesting here about your girl. Angela Bassett was offered the role for Monsters Ball and turned it down.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the one that they gave
Halle
Berry the Academy Award for. So we talking about a crazy clique that's going on in Hollywood. In Hollywood. Now let's go on. Like I said, your boy Jamie Foxx playing in Ali with Will Smith and all. But what'd he do? He comes on an HBO special talking about how he fucked the shit out of Prince.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about he was gay for a few seconds, then he said, nah, fuck that, I fucked the shit out of his little ass. See what I'm saying? How he'll fuck the shit out of Prince. You see? That kind of thing. You see? So, and my point here about the gay roles, they take those fact that there's what's that movie? What's that thing that what's the name was a part of? Michael J. Fox, the TV show that he got his little Parkinson's disease and had to leave.
Living Color?
No, Michael J. Fox, and was replaced with Charlie Sheen. With Charlie Sheen replaced him.
What, this was a sitcom?
Sitcom on ABC.
Yeah, I think I know.
Spin City. They got a black guy on there. He's playing the gay role on the thing. I said, wait a minute, hold on. It's too controversial. Now, this the same people that ABC boycotted with Disney. Disney owns ABC. So the Christian Coalition boycotts Disney and ABC because Ellen turns this white girl down on her show and loses her show. But here they got a black guy on here playing a gay role every day. You see what I'm saying? And nobody says anything about the shit. You see what I'm saying? Nobody ever talked about Spin City because that's a black guy playing the role. So what they'll do is they'll even give controversial roles. They'll say, well, give it to the black person. You see what I'm saying? It's like the Halle Berry thing with this Monsters Ball. What they're trying to do now is push the boundaries from rated R into soft porn. And they're pushing the boundaries. So what you do is you don't want it to be controversial. Black people hate white people hate black people anyway, subconscious. Who are we fooling? You give it to her, and if you saw the movie, that shit was graphic.
That's right. Hell yeah. I saw it.
It was graphic. So they take the soft porn, they're pushing the rated R, we show a few breasts, into soft porn, which is the shit that come on HBO and them at late at night in Cinemax. They're pushing it to soft porn, so what you do, you get a black person because they're not human. And so they can do this without it being controversial when it comes to white people. So you don't get Julia Roberts. You get Halle Berry. And it's a political move. You see what I'm saying? Then the psychological ramification of her saying, look, okay, you black woman, you ain't got no black man. Now, we're not going to give you the elite white boy. Now, you can be his mistress. But he's not going to stand before you on the world stage with a black woman. But you can have our redneck trash. So you give him the monster ball and say, nah, it's okay for you, black woman, to go with the redneck Ku Klux Klan trash, which he did. Kill her husband and the goddamn son get killed in the movie. And the same guy who executed her husband, Puff Daddy plays the part, he gets executed by Billy Bob Thornton, and she ends up fucking Billy Bob Thornton in the movie. You see what I'm saying?
And when she found out that it was him, she
still fucked him.
Now, on the flip side of that, there was another movie done with a white woman. And she found out that I think we was talking about that before, that he raped her, did some shit, and when she found out, she killed him. She killed her rapist when she came to her consciousness.
Yeah.
But see, with Halle Berry, she ended up falling deeply in love with him once he found out that he killed her fucking son and her husband.
It was amazing.
You got to be a punk ass nigga to accept a role like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Enough that Angela Bassett had enough dignity
P. Diddy
to turn the shit down.
And it ain't like you need the money. This motherfucker's a millionaire already. He talking about buying the New York Knicks and all that.
Right.
You know that, right?
Oh, who? Okay, right. Yeah.
He's trying to buy the New York Knicks right now.
You see.
So it ain't like he needed the money.
Right. So we talking. So we still talking the same Hollywood doing things, and they got a new thing, and they're gonna include black people in this. If they're doing it with white people now, it's called metrosexual. They're not, and metrosexual is they're not completely gay. They're just gay enough. And these are white boys in Hollywood, and they wear makeup, they wear different things. They're just gay enough. It's called a metrosexual. Well, I've already seen some of this stuff happening here in the black community. In 1997, I was designing shoes, but they didn't understand I was designing shoes because I found a way to draw the shoes, and I could draw these particular shoes, and I could make money because the companies in Italy could take my design. They didn't have to figure it out. They just make the shoe. So it was an economic thing I did. It wasn't because I was just in love with fashion on some particular level like that. I just was such a good artist, and I said I can branch out into fashion. So I was in an art class in Clark Atlanta University, and it was a tall brother looked like Maxwell. Was up in there. Nice looking brother. Up in one of my art classes. And we used to talk and stuff like that, cool brother. And then the brother said one day, he said, I heard you design shoes or whatever. So he was design shoes. So we got into this talk about design. He said, man, what I'm trying to look for is to get designed a skirt for men. That's a masculine skirt for men. You see. Now, I already knew that this guy here was suspect. But so and all. And I know what he's talking about here because I already know, because, see, that's the gay capital of America now. The black gay capital is Atlanta. So it's a whole phenomenon going on down there. They got a whole section of town, Midtown, that is a whole section for gay, white men and black men. And so this brother was like, I want to get a skirt done, and he was trying to look for something to corner the market that was something that they had been discussing in gay black community of a masculine skirt for men. And he was trying to corner the market on this shit by being a part of that gay community. Now they got this new shit called metrosexual. There's a brother named Kalindi up in Detroit was talking about it when I was up there, and this is what Hollywood is going to. What Hollywood is going to. And it's just the black man is going to be included in that type of thing. You see what I'm saying? Which goes back down to the gay rap community. Now you must understand this, because I saw this thing happening in Atlanta. In Atlanta, at the AU Center, you got 5 black schools, so it's a test ground or a training ground for everything socially going to happen to black people. You got the government agencies is up in there also, and just basically all types of things where either they study in the case study of these black children, or things that's happening, or they're either influencing things. And it could be some subliminal shit that's going on, because we know those CDs, now you see a DVD have 2 or 3 movies on the same DVD. Well, that means that it shows you can overlay stuff. So with CD technology, they can put a whole nother thing up under the CD. And although you think you're listening to something, that's only getting to the outer ear, but the inner ear melanin, which is the nucleus, there's something else, a whole nother CD, it can be telling you, be gay. Subliminal seduction. You are gay. So one brother, cause
or go and kill.
Go and kill. Well, we know that happens already. Go kill with the gangs and all that. So this is interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute with the terrorist thing. So what happened is this. When I was in New Jersey, I did a lecture in Newark in '96, and some brothers stepped to me from Newark and said, "Look, man, we know something, man. Our friends are being turned gay. They're being turned gay." Well, it's interesting here, because I do know, based on if they can overlay stuff in CDs, that's why the album, you can backmask and you can hear things. They can even overlay shit in vinyl. When people used to backmask and turn the shit backwards in your head. Well, they can really do the CD technology. They can do it because there's 2 holograms. And one thing can be telling you you are a gay person. So this stuff can be coming from the music. Now let me show you what happened. So he said they're turning people into gay. Well, in the AU Center, they don't have certain things as couples. At Clark Atlanta University, it's interesting. The guys hang in a group with guys. The girls hang in the groups of girls. Now, when I was in school, my culture was, when I was growing up, my culture, when I was growing up, was saying that no matter how great you were, go. When I was growing up, my culture was, as far as being a male, is no matter how swell of a guy you were, you wasn't nothing until you got you some. Now I know that might be raunchy, but that's just the way the shit was. They be like, "Oh, I really like that brother." They be like, "Yeah, he ain't fucking nothing though."
That's right.
He ain't gonna get no ass now. He ain't fucking nothing. And even in college, they were like, "Yeah, that brother there, he sure is cool." They were like, "That nigga ain't fucking nothing. He won't hit a lick at us. He's scared of pussy." Now, so what happened is this. What happened is you have these new guys, and what they do is they hang around each other totally. One reason why, because rap is an all-male discipline. Despite what we think, when you think about the amount of sisters that's actually rapping and stuff like that, you can count them on one hand. And you know what I'm saying? And in each era, it's only damn near 2. You see? But you can count them on one hand as far as the amount of sisters that's actually doing something and all. So, the phenomenon can be infiltrated and reinforced in the aspect of the government being able to experiment with all types of things they want to deal with. So this leads to the aspect of the gay aspect of the rapper industry. Well, why not? Because it's clear that homosexuals can find, especially males, can find sanctuary in an all-male discipline. You see what I'm saying? The woman is relegated to an object. You know what I'm saying? And I have a piece right here. It's interesting that they're giving complaints right here on. See that I have the whole article, the entire article, but they're giving complaints on how the dark-skinned women in rap videos, and it says dark-skinned women have been banished to the background of hip-hop videos. Here's an article coming out. I guess it's called The Blackout, and I don't know if this is coming from the original. Remember your black whitewash, but I don't know if it's the same as associated with that conscious page. But this is one here where they talk about dark-skinned women have been banished from rap videos. They did a whole survey on it and saying that they are in the background, and in the foreground it's always some light-skinned system. So here you're dealing with objects in the first place. And when you're dealing with objects, or women as being objects, and being something for them no more than being a part of the backdrop of the terrain, it's easy to have the down low male and all this other thing that I've been talking about infiltrated into the whole rap thing. You see what I'm saying? Into the whole rap aspect. Plus, you got for the last 15, since Two Live Crew, to predicate this thing, you got a culture where you calling them bitches and hoes for the last fucking 10 years. That's right, man. So here goes a that if you're going to have a down low male, which is this metrosexual or whatever we call these new forms of black homosexuality, it can literally the rap community. You got a whole crew of rappers. You know what I'm saying? That's gay. You know what I'm saying?
Literally calling their own mamas hoes and bitches.
And not only that, here's the new thing. Here's the new thing. Now we know the black rappers this. No matter how thugged out they were, they always put the mama on a pedestal in the videos. We see that whole thing. Hell, Tupac coined the whole thing a Thug Nation. But 9 years ago in 1994, he did a whole thing on mama. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, the king of rap now, like Elvis Presley, is Eminem. And he's reversed it because 90% of his has been anti-mama. How his mother is fucked up. So here's the white man done come in and done put this, elevated this guy, gave him the Oscar, the Academy Award, and relegated him to the highest level of rap. And now he the king. Who would ever thought that the king of rap in this day, because you got Jay-Z is supposed to be the top black rapper, but he is not as big as Eminem. Why? Because they got more white people in the country and they don't even need black rappers now.
That's right. And there's more white people listening to it than black people.
That's right.
For real.
Right. So he's the king of rap now. Who would ever know 10 years later, if you said this 10 years ago, that in 2003, the king of rap would be a white boy who laughed at you. But that white boy is clever. The key here is he's reversed the order of no matter how thugged out the black rapper was, he always put his mama on the pedestal. Now he is coming and has got a whole anti-mama campaign. So much until they even went on CBS News or ABC News and talked about how it had his mama on there talking about how this motherfucker hates you. Not only does he talk about his mama in a certain way, he say he hates you in so many words. Now going back, it's still this mask of homosexuality. Well, because we know that we know this in the sports world because they say that football is nothing but organized homosexuality. You see what I'm saying? So we got this whole thing in the rap community going on now. You see, and it's being perpetuated with this whole concept. You see what I'm saying? Of anti-woman, and you see what I'm saying? Where you hang with your boy is the center of civilization for you. It's all about hanging with your fucking homies. You see, when we hung with a bunch of niggas, it was the whole focus was to get women. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm telling you what I know because I've seen this thing happen with guys in their early 30s. I got a group of guys way to college now, and they go out to lunch, But they never go out to lunch with sisters. They go out to lunch with other brothers. And it's a whole culture. You see this going on and stuff. And these guys are going and get married for the whole social order. But the people they hang with, and they go out to lunch and they do everything, is always a bunch of other brothers. And they're not going out getting other women. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're going out, they have all types of get-togethers and stuff, and it's all males. You see? I'm of another generation. I ain't got no use for shit if ain't no females around or whatever and all, you know what I'm saying? So it's the way things are actually going, you know. So that's prevalent in the society. Now, in the society, we must ask the question why Missy Elliott blows up.
She looks like a dyke, man.
Yeah. You know, why she blows up, and why some nigga Cisco comes out with the thong song and a few other things with Drew Hill, and now he's making movies. Known gay. Big time faggot. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. And this thing goes on and on and on and on. Very interesting. You know, so.
That's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful information. With some of the CIA gangs, man. We know that these gangs been planted in the so-called community.
Yes.
That's why I said the CIA,
right.
The government. You know, this is their
It was
gang.
interesting that
Are the gangs labeled now as terrorists, bro?
Yes. It's interesting here because a couple of years, about 6 or 7 years back, I said, you know, it's amazing how you could have people with these can't even function well in society, but they're nice people. Not just in the L.A., but were in all, the Crips and Bloods was scattered throughout the United States. Crips and Bloods in New Orleans, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Omaha, Nebraska. You see what I'm saying? Atlanta, Georgia. They all over, and I'm like, well, how could people be so damn organized? You see what I'm saying? And yet they can't even open up a candy store or tie their fucking shoe.
That's right.
That's because it was a government system. Now even Dick Gregory even did the Freedom of Information Act. We find out also, and I told him, I said, those people are put together by the government. I told him this in '96. Dick Gregory recently does get the Freedom of Information Act and find out that the Crips and the Blood was put together at Pepperdine University. Whereas one guy even said that they got the Crips and the Blood and the gangs to come together in the 1970s, and they started having the front. And the FBI and CIA and them had a doggone raid, and they came in and locked up the place where they used to meet. They locked that down and killed a couple of people, and did everything to get the gangs up out of there from unifying, because they understood that these were their operatives, these were just their invention, these were their agents. Which goes to, I went out to Hollywood this recently in December. I'm out there, one of the sisters named Shakira and her daughter, they moved back to California, so we went down to Crenshaw Boulevard, was riding around with them. And I think the same police chief that was under Giuliani here during the time that your boy Amadou Diallo got killed, as well as Abner Louima and all that type of thing. Yeah, something like that. This guy's out in L.A. now.
Right. Yeah, he is.
He's the chief of police out in L.A. He just got on the job at the first of the year, or at the end of last year. And the first thing he did is he declared war on gangs. On the gangs. But going crazy, they said the Crips and Bloods ain't really been hot out here since the early 90s. But he declared war on the gangs. Before the gangs even started doing anything. Now, remind you me, now they are still government agents. So this guy comes in and he declares all-out war on the gangs. The black community is hollering saying, the gangs ain't act. Then in the spring of the year, the gangs start shooting up the place again. because the gangs is government agents and control. MK Ultra and all kind of shit, clones. Well, you have it. All kind of mind control implants. We living in 2003. Anything's possible. Then all of a sudden they got the black preacher under the 501c3 exempt, which means he's a government agent. They got the American flag up in the church. He's a government agent. 501c3 tax exempt. So they got the black preacher comes out and says, America is going all over the country, fighting all over the world, fighting terrorism. And we got terrorism in our own backyards. So here it is, they to come up and call our children terrorists. It's not the gang members, because we know that that's an entity. And it's not meant for the gang members. They're the people that's going to get the policies passed. They're the ones that's going to get the name as terrorists. So they're going to label the gang member a terrorist. So all of a sudden, the guy that came in and said that the chief of police during Christmas said he had an all-out war against the gangs, all of a sudden now he's calling them terrorism. And we're fighting a war on terrorism in a domestic level. But the key here is to make a man who is already associated with criminality a terrorist. So it's not based on the gangs. The gang is the person who... You see what I'm saying? He's the inception of it. And they bring this about. But it's for the black male in America that is labeled a criminal just based on the color. It's the same as the profiling. Based on the color. So he's named a criminal. And so, in so many words, the black man will be the #1 terrorist. He's already a non-citizen. And you have the Subversive Act. You have the terrorist bill. You see what I'm saying? Which gives you all this stuff here. We don't have the right to assemble. You got the Subversive Act, Homeland Security. You got all these things now. And the only thing they got to do is call you terrorist. And they can call you terrorist by saying you're a black criminal. And a black criminal is only just based on your skin color. You're profiled as a black criminal. Well, what makes you a black criminal here is the catalyst is naming a group of black criminals, which is the gangs, terrorists. Terrorists. And so this is how they're able to get this whole thing that's going down with linking this 9/11 thing, which we knew they was going to do when they linked the white boy that got caught with the Taliban. They linked to music. And from rap music, he got into listening to Malcolm X. And from Malcolm X, he went into the mosque. And from the mosque, he ended up in doggone Afghanistan. You see what I'm saying? So they already done linked the black terrorism to already and gangster rap. They connected and linked this spring of the year rap music when they said that John Malvo and John Muhammad were big fans of rap music, and name a couple of groups like Killer Army and Wu-Tang and also Ja Rule. Name them and said that these were terrorist acts, and hip-hop music fosters and spawns terrorist activity. And John Malvo and John Muhammad, and the reason why I say John Malvo, the younger person, because you never hear his name first, you hear John Muhammad, all of a sudden John Malvo, the younger person, headlining, because they want to link rap music to this and with the whole terrorist thing. So this is what's going on with this. But the gangs now, they're getting ready to label terrorists. And when they label them terrorists, remember the gangs is only the catalyst and the government agent to name black men basically associated with criminality terrorists in the first place. And this is going to lead back to the black conscious community, because we don't have the right the right of freedom of speech and the subversive act. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, that's peace. What can you tell me about the projects, man? What's going on around the projects? Are the black men in the projects, they killing the black men in the projects?
Well, I don't know. New York is a special situation, because New York, you don't necessarily have to live in the projects in New York based on economic status. You know, the projects was a way of living up here. You see what I'm saying? In the North, it had nothing to do, or you. This is the housing of stuff is different than down south. Down south, the people that's in the project, one economic class. You see what I'm saying? Well, up here, you got school teachers living in the project. You know, it's a different system. So therefore, you didn't get the same destruction that went on around the country. Now, dealing with this, I did a 6-year study on this thing based on the projects and them taking the people. Well, look at this. Dealing with this, two things. In Section 8 down in Atlanta, you can't have burglar bars. You can't have anything that you can barricade yourself in your house. And although they come with all that stuff about fire code, it's not that. You can't have burglar bars on any public facilities in the projects. You can't have it, and it has nothing to do with fire hazard. You're property of the United States government. First of all, we all are, but they are especially property of the United States government if they are into the system of welfare. You see what I'm saying? Because they are the ones that are the experiments for major colleges and universities. Every college, major college and university, like Yale, Harvard, Princeton, UCLA, Temple, University of Chicago, Georgia Tech, all have an area near the college of low-income black housing, and those are the guinea pigs for the society for all types of experiments. You see what I'm saying? So they can't have burglar bars or nothing on there. Anything that can barricade yourself in against these particular people when they come for their experiments or their projects. You get where I'm coming from here? Mm-hmm. So all major universities in the country that's doing any kind of major work, they have a black area near them that they use as the guinea pig. The College of Charleston, they busted a ring that went back almost 100 years, and they were taking bodies from the black graveyard and using those as the test bodies for medical students. The Medical College of Charleston. So we've been guinea pigs and subjects for them for years. You got a whole Grady University, and Dr. Jewel Pookrum was doing was at some type of meeting, a conference or something at the hospital, and fucked around and ended up on a floor she wasn't supposed to be on, and the whole floor, it had the thing, the Grady Memorial Research for the Black Man and the Black Woman. It's a whole floor, the secret, where they researched the black man and the black woman.
So why do you think they call it the projects, man?
That's what it is.
Because
it's a project.
There you go.
It's a project, an experiment.
That's right.
It's an experiment, and that is the reason. So the projects, you are the ones that they decreed and allowed to be experiments on. Now, it's interesting here, so much that I even was working on this thing, I even found the fucking railroad track where it went. I did so much research. There's a train line that goes up Northside Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. And it goes to some mill near Coca-Cola in Georgia Tech, there's some construction mill that have all this type of textile, lumber, any kind of construction, this mill. Nobody knows what this mill is. It's also called Howard Mill Road. And all these particular facilities. And in that place is where those trains end up. That they put black people on those trains.
Now, when you say underground, are you literally talking about underground?
Yes, literally underground.
We know the railroad.
No, I'm not talking about the Underground Railroad as far as secret. No, literally underground.
Okay.
But those trains, they surface up on the ground and they go to this particular mill. And there's one section on Northside Drive for the black people in one section of town, and the other part is a train line that goes through town that it ends up on the other side of town where the King Center, and there's a whole bunch of black people in Capitol Homes and Carver Homes is in that particular area. There's a whole nother train line that's almost like an X, and they actually ship black people from all, ship black people in those particular train lines. And
see, when you talk like this, man, to the average person, they say, "Yo, man, what is Bobby talking about, man?"
Right.
I'm not going for that, man. What do you say to people like that, man?
Well, they say you can't convince a skeptic. It's not for the people that's blind. It's for people. First of all, you got to be conscious, and first of all, you have to know a little bit about history to understand that this stuff has been going on all our lives. So it's not, are they going to do it? It's, they already did the shit.
That's right, it's being done.
And it's being done.
They've been doing it.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. So this stuff is not for those particular people who are historically illiterate. When a person is historically illiterate, their minds are not even on the level to contemplate the most simplest of things.
They become dangerous to the conscious.
It's right.
Because they will kill the conscious.
And the only thing that they can register is what mass media gives them. And what the powers that be has sanctioned for them to believe as truth. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So they're doing this stuff here, and for various reasons, let's put it this way, 90% of research in the healthcare industry as well as the medical industry has been basically melanin-based products. So there you have it. From Viagra to all types of skin products, to all type of neurological products, all types of allergy products. 98% of the stuff that they're dealing with on the TV, with its Prevacid and Elegua, and there's a thing called Elegua, which is damn near Elegua. They got, I got all these things. They are all melanin based. All melanin based. Which leads me to this, which has to deal with interferon. A week after the war in Iraq ended, they came out with a cure to SARS, which was this so-called disease that broke out. They say so-called disease, it's actually germ warfare, or it's actually something even it's something else too we'll get into, that broke out during the Iraq war recently. This SARS, where people was coming down sick in Asia and in Canada, and 8 cases supposedly in the United States. One of the doctors at the Center of Disease Control even caught it. But they came out a week after the war ended, when what's the name officially declared the war over, although they're still fighting there. And they said, we have isolated SARS and we have the cure for it. And they said the cure was interferon. Now, interferon is this substance that they get from black children at a certain age, the genitals. They get this interferon mainly from black boys. And it's some of the most expensive stuff on the planet. Well, it was expensive when they really started dealing with it, but they have now isolated it, and they got enough of it now. Number one reason is because most of the wars in Africa is put on by the British and the United States secret societies. And one of the things is the children are very young that's fighting these wars, as young as 8 years old, and they're slaughtering them. And as a result, interferon comes from children that's before puberty. It's very potent. It is the same stuff that makes a child immune. You know, they say children are immune to a certain age, to like 3 years old. Well, it's the same type of potency. If we have a certain amount of melanin that is inside of us and we are 40, 35, 40, 50 years old and we got this properties of melanin, can you imagine how potent the melanin can be with a person just coming from the planet, from the ethers, of the melanin, dark matter realm? That's some powerful stuff. It's more potent. Look at our stuff with all the toxins and shit we got and shit and saturations over the years of hard living. What you think about a newborn baby? So interferon is a form of melanin. And now they find out that this stuff can protect them from all types of things that's going on. All germs, all diseases, and all types of biological warfare. They can use this interferon for all of that. As well as they're saying curing SARS and stuff. And when you go on the internet and check it out, they saying that it's the cure for muscular sclerosis. Now we talking about something that attacks the central nervous system, so it's got to be something that's very powerful that kills that from muscular sclerosis. So that's an amazing thing. So anyway, they put out the SARS scare to give you something as extreme as interferon that comes from the children of black children from projects here in Africa, and they can get this stuff from anywhere and stuff because we're not a free people, at least not in the mind. And so they can get this particular interferon and stuff, which leads us to the next aspect of melanin that they're taking. Is a substance produced by the pituitary gland called growth hormone. Now, growth hormone is this chemical, which is a form of melanin, that is produced by the pituitary gland. The pineal gland secretes melanin, but the pituitary gland is what regulates melanin throughout the body. But the pituitary gland also produces these certain growth hormones because it is the regulator of these melanin substances throughout the body. See, melanin has several substances if you study alchemy. There's only isolated few. They've isolated several aspects of melanin in regular medicine, but in alchemy, which is the basis of melanin, there's tons of different types of melanin and these substances, literally hundreds of them. There's a new book called The Alchemical Body that comes out of University of Chicago talking about cedar alchemy coming from the East Indian branch of Dravidians that have laid out this whole system of these substances that's in the vaginal fluid and throughout the entire body. And that particular melanin it proves that melanin is much more vast than even what the medical aspect is dealing with, because they haven't been able to isolate the certain amount of melanin and stuff. So there's different types of melanin. One type of melanin that is produced by the pituitary gland, or aspect of this, is some stuff called growth hormones. Now what this thing does is this. When you're growing up from a child, the body secretes these growth hormones to get you to whatever height, weight, or whatever maturity your body, your physical body, is going to grow into as an adult. When you become an adult or whatever at 18 or whatever, and your body is physically grown, or some people in the early 20s, it doesn't stop secreting, because this same growth hormone that secretes to make your body grow to a physical level also secretes to help you grow mentally as long as you continue to study. See, when we no longer want to figure out things on a level on why things work, why we are, why is things the way they are, what is history, what is the mystery, when we don't want to figure out things, you see what I'm saying? Certain things go atrophied, goes dormant. So this growth hormone that is supposed to make your body physically grow, which is going to secrete regardless at the age of birth until you become an adult. Once you become an adult, it will only secrete if you continue the capacity of learning. But it will go dormant. This is all with black people. If you do not accelerate your mind beyond becoming an adult. You understand? But I said grow dormant, which means that it is always can be functional. Because with us, anything that grows dormant can be reactivated because it's our natural function. Now with white folks, after they, because they have a limited production, after they grow physically, that's it. That's it for them. It doesn't secrete anymore with the hybrids after they grow physically. And they have all types of problems. Because they don't have the normal production of growth hormones. They can't see colors. They can't hear certain sounds. And sexually, they peak at 19. My mother said, you know, males peak at 19. I said, this is crazy when we know, hell, a sister don't peak until she goddamn in her fucking 40s. So that's kind of shit. She got 20 years on us. Or more, because someone don't peak till they get the damn change of life going near 50. So I said, this is some bullshit. But then again, science is made, European medicine and biological research is made for white folks, not black folks.
That's right.
So the white man peaks at 19 because of the growth hormone stops. See what I'm saying? So he's no good after fucking goddamn 25. But not the black man. So the key here is the growth hormone stops in them totally, just like what little bit of melanin production they have stopped in them, and they got to take the melatonin pills, but they have to take growth hormone, which is $800 a vial, the stuff from the late 90s. See, they have now, you know, and I'll explain how that goes too. $800 a vial that has to be administered by a physician in the research in the late 90s, because the people who was going to get it at that particular time were white movie stars, white business people, people who had money. You know, they have to go once a week or something to get an $800 vial of growth hormone. And so they experimented on them, and rich people, what happened with any kind of technology, if a DVD player comes out, certain amount of rich people will go and they'll buy it, and they actually bring the price down. After so many rich people buy things, when they first come out, DVD be high, be $800 for a DVD player. But after so many rich people buy it, then these things come down, and then next thing you know, DVD player you can get for $90 now. You see, after about cheaper than that. After about 4 years. But when they first come out, they're extremely high. And that's all technology. Well, it's the same thing with medicine. So this growth hormone, when they started dealing with this particular stuff, especially in the mid to late 90s, it was extremely high. By the late 90s, it was $800 a vial, and now they got the shit on the shelves in the health food stores. And this growth hormone is a form of melanin. Now, let me explain something. They had this woman, Dixie Carter, used to be on Design in Women. She was one that was taking the growth hormone, and she was talking about how she could see colors for the first time. And